All right, you're welcome back. It's still the weekend show. Yes, this is March 11, the earlier date scheduled for the governorship and state assembly elections across the country. But for reasons, court cases and other reasons best known for INEC, they had to shift the date by 1 week till March 18, 2023 to prepare and for, in their words, to have enough time to reconfigure the beavers and get ready for governorship elections following the suits and the orders given by the court. The extension of the date means that we are still in the era, or we're still in the election season. And the actions that followed the presidential elections also continues to throw up some sentiments that we feel that this morning we should look at how to continue to calm the system, how to continue to maintain peace, and ensure that we continue to enjoy a better and a more harmonious society.
And considering the fact that the tensions are high, for the first time in Nigeria, the election is becoming very scary because politicians, candidates from last time outing saw what they were not expecting. So everybody is back. In fact, it's like a campaign of 3 months. It's now that we're really seeing the real campaign. So the question is, with this whole tension high, is it possible to maintain peace on the social media space, outside the social media space? And what can we do to ensure that after the election, losers will accept, and maybe even if they don't accept, follow it the right way? And more especially, what about the followers of the people who will not win and the followers of the people who will win? I'm so happy that our guest for this morning is a very neutral guest. Not just neutral to me, at least you get to know that he's a neutral guest. It took us a lot to find somebody who is neutral in this intensive time. Our guest this morning is Pastor Kelechi Opoti. Pastor Kelechi is a pastor with the Winners Chapel.
Thank you.
Pastor, you're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, let's begin the discussion this way. Following the presidential elections, we are moving into, or we are in the season, the parties are preparing, campaigning to get ready for the March 18 elections.
Desperately.
Desperately. That desperation is actually where my question is coming from. How would you, as a church leader, assess what is happening at the moment, especially when it comes to you as a pastor trying to tell people do the right thing this season? Does the message actually sell, looking at the tension after the presidential election and the March 18 election coming closer?
Thank you very much, David. I'm glad to be here with you today. This topic is so important at this time in the history of our nation, where we have just had an election with so much surprises and a lot of expectations from the people. In this election, people came out, I believe much more than before to vote. So, and there were so much expectations. Some people thought their own candidate would win, that it was the most popular. But when the result came out, their candidate did not win, and they are agitating. So a lot is being done to see that the masses are calmed down, because of the outcome of the election. There's so much agitations. Some have gone to court, while some on the social media space have been saying all kinds of things, and some don't even want to hear the idea of other people, other parties. But it's important that we remain calm. It's important that we recognize that we are growing, we are making progress in the nation. At this point. At least we saw how the election went. We saw the commitment of the people. People came out en masse. We saw how the government is even responding. INEC is responding to the complaints of the people in this election. So I think that there are more than it was that very week of the announcement of the election result, there's some calmness. It's important that we have faith in the leadership or the authorities are doing to see that maybe the various grievances are addressed.
You know, the last time you came here, we spoke about the role of the church.
Yes.
And one thing you did say that was different between this election and the previous one was that the fact you said that the church had a reawakening, that the church is now out.
Yeah.
So I want to know first, the outcome of this election showed that it's quite different. I'm talking about the previous one, the presidential election.
Yes.
It showed that there was a difference, a big gap, a big growth from what we had before. Because somebody said people are crying foul from the presidential election. Some people were saying there were a lot of issues, but that these issues have always been there. It's just that people's eyes are open now.
Yes.
So I would like to know, judging from what you said the last time you were here, tell me, did the church really play a role in this reawakening? Because now, unlike before, we see church leaders being dragged on social media. Yes. A lot of times the trend, they will say, why is this pastor not talking? You get, yes. I saw it a lot. Or why is this priest saying this thing? Yes. So I want to know, did the church really play a role that is encouraging?
Yes.
Do you think that the church actually played a role in this new spirit of people to say, we want to be part of what is happening around us?
Oh yes, oh yes. The church played a major role.
Okay.
You know, the church also is a place for enlightenment, training and orientation of the people. So, and a lot of churches came all out to give proper orientation to their people on why they must go out to vote, on why they must be involved in the elections and the selection of leaders in this nation. And some churches even went as far as asking members who did not have their PVCs not to come to church until they got their PVCs, or deny them some, privileges, to ensure that they motivated them to get their PVCs and to vote.
Okay, so my follow-up question on this is, if the church really had a role to play in this reawakening, what role do you think the church has to play again to ensure peace before and after the election? What role do you think the church can play?
Oh yes. The role that the church can play now is to guide the people to remain calm. Number one. The church, we believe in peace. Okay. Jesus Christ is the Prince of Peace. And nobody likes war. War does not pay anyone, but peace pays more. So it's to teach the people and guide them to remain calm. And where they have grievances, seek redress, from appropriate authorities, maybe the court. And then also, if they have things that were irregular in the election, they can write to the authorities and say, this is what happened at my polling unit that needs your attention. Okay, so the church really has that role to play. Again, to let the people know they should not take up arms. They should not go into destroying properties, okay, or should not instigate violence anywhere at all, because that's how it happens. Somebody will just wake up and say, I don't agree, and
let's go to the street.
Let's go to the street. Okay, I think so far, with what is being done, I think the voice of the people is trying to do something.
Now, I want to ask another very important question. You raised it while you were talking. You talked about the tension at the moment, how people are reacting to the outcome of the presidential election. You see people posting, people shouting, people coming out to with different kinds of experiences. In the midst of this, you also see that there is a level of, will I say, anger, when some expresses an opinion that is different from that crowd opinion, one. Two, some are even stopped from expressing at all.
Yeah.
So why is it important that in maintaining peace we should have a variety of opinions, a marketplace of opinions? Why is it very important?
Yeah, it's very important. You know, our nation, we have different people, different tribes and cultures, and so we see things from different ways. No one person's vote can make a leader. We need everyone's vote to be able to choose who the leader becomes. So that voted this party doesn't mean the party must win.
Yeah.
And we must understand that other people's views, you know, through their votes have to be, you know, come to play for us to have the lead. People feel that because they had 500 people, 1,000 people in their polling unit, maybe you won't, that the person they voted must win. What about other polling units in other places where they could don't there? So that's why to elect other people's views at this time. Yes, and not to attack anyone who has a different view from what we have. Everybody is entitled to his opinion in life and in every aspect of this election. We all see things differently. And we must also be able to be mature enough to accept their views and see that we okay, we should be able to forgive them so that we keep on moving as a nation peacefully.
Okay, I'd like to look at it from the angle of candidates now. Nigeria is a very religious nation.
Oh, yes.
All our candidates belong to one religious body or the other.
Yeah.
Some of them that we don't know where they belong to, this past 1 week now, they've been going to all the churches. Some of them go to the church and kneel down. We've seen them. Some of them go to the churches and kneel down. Some of them go to the churches begging, and then you still see the church reacting. My question now is, as a church leader, speaking to fellow church leaders, what role, because I know that most candidates, for somebody to get to the position of saying, I want to vie for a position, you got to find out that in their churches, they are already known figures. Yes. They are already important figures. Yes. So my question now, the problem is not really the people. The problem is that some of the politicians are desperate. And some of them get sent some of these people that cause chaos in the society. Yes. So what role the church play to control to ensure peace from the angle of the candidates? Do you think the church can do anything? Because I noticed that the church is now the major focus of most of these candidates. And why I'm asking this question is tomorrow, everybody, both the candidates and the voters, will convene to the churches. You come to the church, you see crowd. You don't know who is candidate and who is the voter. And then sometimes some churches will give their members who are vying for position opportunity to come and talk. Oh, yes. You get. Yeah. So my question is, how should the church handle these candidates, especially now that it is clear to all and sundry that they are in desperate positions? How do they handle them to ensure that after this election, the person don't say, this church did not treat me well. No. I'm talking about when the person wins, say, this church did not treat me well, let me close it up. Or people from this church, I don't like them, you know. How can the church really balance the equation?
Well, thank you very much. You know, the church is not in, a political organization.
No.
There's a limit to what the church can do in controlling the people or trying to guide the people. You can tell someone what to do, but they wouldn't want to do it.
Okay.
So, but at the same time, the church will not relent in guiding the people as much as they can influence to go on the path of peace and to also remain calm and to also have faith that if you did not make it this time, you can still make it some other time. There is someone contested elections 10 times, and it was the 10th time that he won. Okay? So you need to keep hope alive. And the church is where people are giving hope. So don't lose hope. Don't do something that may hamper your chances tomorrow. So, and it's important that we keep on preaching this as a church to this one. If you have a member who went for the election or contested and lost, you should be able to call the person, pray with the person, give the person hope. This is not the end of the story. Okay? You can still make it some other time. So don't engage in anything that will be against the law of the land. Don't take the laws into your own hands. If you feel that you were unjustly treated, you can seek redress in the court of law. So the church can do this, okay? Because it's not just about telling people to vote. We should also be involved in the outcome of the elections to see that the society remains calm and peaceful after the election.
Okay, I also now want to ask, you've talked about what the government should do, what the church should do. I want you to also talk about what the government should do to ensure that we entrench or maintain this peace. But before you talk about that, I also want you to assess the government at all levels, whether they are doing enough to ensure that people do not take to the streets, that nobody is encouraged to find an alternative to peace because he feels his or her voice is not listened to.
Okay. Thank you very much, my dear. I think on the issue of the government, since the last election, there are some responses from INEC to the people. Okay? They are, looking at the beavers and checking the results. Some of the things they didn't do according to the rules that they are working on it. With that, people's hopes are being raised that there could be a positive outcome. Their voices are being heard. So I think trying, but they will then some candidates have gone to court, already, and the court has received their petitions and they're looking into it. Okay, from that point, I think the government is doing something, and that's why some have remained calm, because they consider the court is looking into their matter. They are all providing evidences, and the court is assessing those evidences to be able to give their judgment. So on the part of government, I think they are trying to see that peace is maintained, and you see security operatives everywhere, trying to maintain peace. You see soldiers, you see checkpoints, you see all these things are ways that government maintains peace in the society. So I think they are trying. So far, so good in Nigeria.
Okay, so I'd like us to look at tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be a very important day because tomorrow is a Sunday, and most churches have their mass or services tomorrow. And all the candidates, there's no exception. There's no exception. We'll see tomorrow as one of the final opportunity to get to talk to a gathering of their targeted voters. My question is, how should we handle tomorrow? How should the church handle, because most churches now give politicians opportunity. You get to see a church give a candidate of just one political party opportunity to come and talk to the people. Is it proper? Should it happen tomorrow, being sensitive? And then you also get to the church, the pulpit is very sensitive.
Yes, it is.
Initially, whatever the preacher says on the pulpit stays in the pulpit. But now people have phones. People get to video something you were telling them without knowing you're being videoed and bring it out on social media. So tomorrow, how do you think religious leaders should handle like the only opportunity most of these candidates will see that they have to talk to the people, and being an opportunity for the religious people, religious leaders, to get to make the final impact on the people? How do you think tomorrow should be handled in churches, different churches?
I think that the church should be very careful with allowing people, politicians, to come and campaign from the altar. They should be very careful. Because if in the church, for instance, I have members that are in PDP, I have members that are in APC, I have members that are in ABGA, I have members that are in Labour Party and other parties, and they all have their interest. We should be very careful not to, and everybody is free to join any party or to take any view that, based on his level of understanding. So if we dabble into politics of that nature, we might be hurting the people or even scaring away those that we have been sent to save or to keep for Christ. So we should be very careful. I don't think that the pulpit should be used for political campaigns. The much the church can do is to pray for peaceful elections. Come next Saturday is to pray that there will be election. No people be involved in any violence during that election. Is the outcome of their should accept it in good faith, and when they think that there were irregularities, they should let the authorities know. And we believe that the authorities will.
And this is what we call it edition of the